I'm Kevin Fifield, Byron Center, Michigan. I got involved with a CPS back in a nasty divorce I got involved with back in 2009. Unfortunately, the court system and the lawyers all told my ex-wife to use the CPS, to manipulate the system, and it worked effectively for my ex-wife in some various ways, which were very unfortunate. And but then at the end, I think we got justified. But what happened was, in 2009, my ex-wife filed for divorce, and then as she filed for divorce, she saw things were not going her way. So by the year 2010, August of 2010, she decided to, over frivolous things, come up with CPS, nonsense CPS things, making my kids lie. One of my sons lie for her, basically, taking them to the therapist that we were working with and say I grabbed their arm when I never did, which was just crap. He was at that time 14 years old. Then what ends up happening is she propelled and keep going. CPS worker, we caught them lying, falsifying records, and I have the records to show that they falsified them. In fact, her supervisor contacted me and said they were falsified. And hopefully that individual is not employed by the state of Michigan anymore. So then what ends up happening, it keeps going. The situation escalates. Kids get empowered when they can see they can lie and get away with it, and they got another parent agreeing with it. So what ends up happening is, in the long run, after this all happened, by the end of 2011, I got an altercation with my son, put my hand on his shoulder, and two of them attacked me in their home because I was over at their mom's house trying to talk to them after they were high and drunk, and trying to talk to them about what was going on, why stop acting this way, don't use the F word for your mom, don't use that in front of me. And what ends up happening is they both attacked me, I wrestled them, left a bruise on them, I guess, from pushing them back, and my ex-wife took the boy right into the hospital, of course. That happened on a Friday. On a Sunday, Sitton said that I tried to choke him to death and all that, which was negligent. So Judge Feeney's heard all these things many times out of this individual, my ex-wife, and what ends up happening is we then go to CPS. We had a CPS supervisor come down on me saying I had to be on the list and all that. And I might add, they put me on the list one time for grabbing my son's wrist like this and letting go. And then I caught him doing it, and I called him out, and they had to take me off the list because I said that was nothing to put me on the list for. After grabbing my son's wrist like that, didn't leave a mark, nothing. Kent County Sheriff called me and goes, there was no marks, no nothing. I took that information in and said, why am I on the list? Because I found out they wrote me a letter. They said, well, Mr. Fifield, we apologize, that was a mistake. Had I not followed up on it, I'd have still been on that list for that incident. And, I don't know how many parents are, reach out and grab your son, try to calm him down, not trying to grab their arm and rip it off or anything like that, just trying to, hey, calm down. So what ends up happening is kids see empowerment, that their mom is doing this, they feel stronger. So the whole December 11 incident ended up being on the list. The girl that did all the investigations all those time, the one that falsified records that we caught her at doing, she was in her glee that day when that happened. So what ends up happening is I said, I'm gonna fight this, and I ended up fighting it, and I proved in the court, because you had a hearing. I hired an attorney for the first part of it. It was 2 days long, and I said, you know what, I'm not gonna hire you again, I'm gonna keep doing it myself. And I went ahead and just presented my own case the second day, and I ended up winning. The reason I won, when you have an assistant attorney general for the state of Michigan, I don't want to get into his name, but I'll be glad to provide the documents and provide his name, sit and say, Mr. Fifield, as they were cross-examining me, does that make you mad that kids smoke pot and get drunk. And I said, yeah, it makes me mad. How mad does it make you? I said, it's wrong. I said, Mr. Comstock, it is wrong to be able to sit and justify this. He said, well, you better get used to it. 99% of the kids get drunk and high in the state of Michigan. And I said, that is sick. So the judge, which is a very nice man that oversaw the hearing, I used that. I did my own closing statement, and I said, I don't need to say anything. You saw my boys up here telling stories. They couldn't even lie good, and telling these tales because they're pushed by their mom, because their mom, if she gets them against me, she keeps her child support going. And I might add, she's held the kids back in school, so they're going to graduate when they're 19 and a half. So she keeps getting child support up until the end of it. That's what this has happened in the court system today with Judge Feeney and the rest of the people out here. They've allowed this nonsense to go on. Take them out of good schools, put them in other schools. Now they're in computer online schools. And the judge goes along with it. Well, March I had a hearing with Judge Feeney because she knew my hearing was done with CPS. And she's now basically, I'm not saying on my side, but she understands now. She looks at it and says, you know what? There's issues here. Why these kids are jumping around from school to school to school, failing. And the end result of this whole issue is, back in May, the judge over in Lansing issued his statement to me. I was removed off the list. The one individual that was my problem with DHS was terminated. And the bottom line is, can't say we really won. The kids lost, because you now have two children, two boys, 18, that are still, they're on computer online school. They're not functional in the real world, and somebody's still collecting child support on them, because of the fact of the matter is it's about money. It's not about the kids' welfare. After the first year, I will be taking that individual back to court, because she's not going to do that to my third son. So basically, yeah, we won, but the kids lost because of the judicial system and legal wrangling. But I honestly believe the justice system is starting to wake up about this issue, and they're starting to see what's going on is not appropriate. And I honestly believe they're looking at it saying, you know what? You can't throw somebody under the bus for being a good dad or wanting to be a good dad or a good parent. It goes women's way too. And then try to revive them in the kids' eyes, because my kids will always look at me tainted forever. And it's unfortunate when in reality I've run a business for many years, almost 30 years. I've been self-employed. And always paid my bills, have great income, not bragging about that, but I've always supported my family on the utmost. But it's all about the money and how much money they can milk out of me. And like I said, now my kids are living in a home with a gentleman. I don't know who he is. I don't know anything about him. But I know I had my say about it, we'd had joint custody. None of this stuff would ever happen with DHS. None of this would ever happen to CPS. And they ended up, like I said, the kids actually become the loser.